It's more about respect, you know. It's because I think we give much more than what we are getting back, and we.
John McEnroe went on TNT this week and said something that broke the internet. He was asked which player stops Jannik Sinner at the French Open. The man with 50 years inside this sport, 7 Grand Slams, a Hall of Fame ring, looked straight into the camera. The best bet to beat Jannik is the weather. McEnroe exploded because he had no other answer. Because standing at the entrance of Roland Garros, Sinner has just done what nobody in tennis history has ever done. 6 consecutive Masters 1,000 titles. The previous record was 4. He broke it by 2, across 2 surfaces, 9 cities, 34 straight matches without a single defeat. Alcaraz is gone. Wrist injury. Out of Paris, out of Wimbledon. The only man who has beaten Sinner at the French Open is watching from home. The betting market has Sinner at -300 entering Roland Garros. Odds nobody in men's tennis has carried into a Grand Slam in 30 years. The career Grand Slam is sitting in Paris. Unclaimed, 1 tournament away. Subscribe right now, because tennis history is being written this fortnight. And what Sinner just did to get here is only half the story. 6 consecutive Masters. 1,000 titles sounds like a number, a statistic, something you read in a press release and move on from.
Of course, my team, thanks for pushing me, thanks for believing in me. I know we are doing something incredible, so thank you so much. Thanks for.
But the moment you actually map out what that run required, the cities, the opponents, the surfaces, the weeks, the number stops being a number. It becomes something else entirely. It started in Paris last October. The Paris Masters, indoor hard court. Sinner walked in, dropped 0 sets across the entire tournament, and walked out with the trophy. Then came Indian Wells in March, outdoor hard court in the California desert. He dropped 0 sets again, won the whole thing. Miami followed immediately. Different city, same surface, same result. 0 sets dropped, another title. 3 consecutive Masters, 1,000 tournaments without losing a single set. That had never been done before in the history of the series. Then the clay season started, and this is where the story shifts. Clay is supposed to be the equalizer. It slows the ball down, it rewards patience over power, positioning over pace. It is the surface that has historically given the biggest hard-court dominators the most trouble. Djokovic spent years trying to solve it before finally cracking Roland Garros in 2016. Federer never truly owned it. The surface has a way of exposing whatever a player is hiding. Sinner walked onto clay in Monte Carlo and beat Carlos Alcaraz in straight sets in the final. The same Alcaraz who had beaten him in last year's French Open final from 2 sets down. The same Alcaraz who is the defending champion at Roland Garros. Sinner dismantled him in straight sets on red clay, took the title, and reclaimed the world #1 ranking in the same afternoon. Madrid came next. He beat Alexander Zverev in the final, straight sets. Then Rome, his home tournament, the Foro Italico, packed with Italian fans who hadn't seen a compatriot win the title there since Adriano Panatta in 1976. Sinner beat Casper Ruud in 1 hour and 44 minutes. 6-4, 6-4, clinical, controlled. The crowd went from hope to disbelief to euphoria inside 90 minutes. 6 titles, 6 finals. Not a single set dropped in any of those finals across the entire run. When the Rome win was confirmed, the ATP Tour official record was updated immediately. Sinner had just broken Djokovic's record of 31 consecutive Masters 1,000 match wins, a record that had stood since 2011, a record that Federer, Nadal, Murray, and every other great of the modern era had tried and failed to break. Sinner didn't just beat it, he extended it to 34 before boarding a flight to Paris. And now here is where McEnroe's answer about the weather starts making complete sense, because this is not a hot streak. Hot streaks end when the calendar changes, or the surface switches, or a motivated opponent catches you on an off day. What Sinner is producing cuts across all of those variables. He has won on hard courts indoors, hard courts outdoors, and clay. He has beaten the world #1, the world #2, and every contender placed in front of him. He has done it in California heat, Monaco wind, Madrid altitude, and Roman humidity. The conditions have changed every single week. The result has not. The ATP Tour's own statistical breakdown, published ahead of the French Open, revealed something that makes the six-title run even harder to process. Sinner has won 95.6% of his service games since the winning streak began at Indian Wells. For context, the all-time record for highest percentage of service games won across a full season belongs to Ivo Karlovic at 95.5%, and Karlovic stands 6'11" and serves at 140 miles per hour. Sinner is 6'3" and is producing those numbers while simultaneously winning 34.1% of his return games during the streak. No elite server in the tracked statistical era has come close to combining those two numbers in the same stretch of tennis. McEnroe spent the better part of 2025 making the argument that Sinner and Alcaraz were playing better tennis than Nadal did in his prime on clay. Fans revolted. The tennis internet called it the most embarrassing thing McEnroe had ever said. Then Alcaraz got injured, and Sinner swept every Clay Masters event on the calendar before walking into Roland Garros, unbeaten on the surface in 2026, with a 17-0 clay record and 3 sets dropped all season. McEnroe wasn't wrong. He was just early. Now look at where Sinner sits against the all-time records. Djokovic holds the modern-era record for the longest overall winning streak at 43 consecutive matches in 2010 and 2011. Federer's personal best was 41, Nadal's was 32. Sinner's current streak entering Roland Garros stands at 29. The gap to Djokovic's modern-era record is 14 matches. The math from here is genuinely staggering. Win the French Open, 7 matches, and the streak hits 36. Win a pre-Wimbledon grass event, 5 matches, and it reaches 41, equaling Federer. Win Wimbledon, 7 more, and it stands at 48. That single number puts him 1 match short of Bjorn Borg's all-time Open-era record of 49 consecutive wins, set in 1978, a record that has survived 48 years. A record that Connors, McEnroe himself, Lendl, Sampras, Agassi, Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, the entire assembled history of men's tennis greatness, took a run at and could not reach. Win one first-round match at the Canadian Open in Montreal in August, and Sinner ties Borg. Win the second, and the all-time record belongs to him alone. That is the trajectory currently in motion. It is not a fantasy projection. It is the direct mathematical consequence of what Sinner is doing right now. But even setting the streak aside, the French Open carries its own specific weight for Sinner that goes beyond any record. This is personal. Last year he walked into this tournament as the world number 1, the Australian Open champion, the favorite. He reached the final. He took a 2-set lead against Alcaraz. He served for the championship. He held 3 match points, 3 separate moments where he was 1 shot away from completing the career Grand Slam. Alcaraz saved all 3. The match became the longest French Open final in the Open era. Sinner lost in a deciding set tiebreak after 5 hours and 23 minutes on court. He left Paris without the trophy, without the career Grand Slam, without the one title that would have written his name alongside Rod Laver, Andre Agassi, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Carlos Alcaraz, the only 6 men in the Open era to win all 4 major titles. Alcaraz completed his own career Grand Slam at the Australian Open in January 2026. He beat Djokovic in the final. Then he won his 3rd consecutive title in Rome, then got injured. The wrist injury announced in late April ended his French Open and Wimbledon campaigns in one press release. The man who has beaten Sinner in Paris twice is now watching this tournament from a treatment table somewhere in Spain. The draw was released last Thursday. Sinner opens against Clement Tabourer, a French wildcard ranked 165th in the world. He won't have the crowd on his side, a hostile Paris crowd chanting for the home player in round 1. That is the only genuine complication in the first week of his draw. Beyond that, his projected path runs through opponents he has beaten before, on a surface he currently dominates. In a tournament he came within 3 points of winning 12 months ago. Djokovic is in the other half of the draw. The 38-year-old has played 3 tournaments all year. He has one match on clay this season. He beat Sinner in a 5-set classic at the Australian Open semi-final in January, a match McEnroe called one of the finest Djokovic had ever played, but that was on hard court at a slam against a Sinner who was working through early tournament nerves. The Sinner who showed up on clay this spring is a different proposition entirely. Zverev is seeded second. He has reached a Grand Slam final before, lost to Alcaraz here 2 years ago, but Sinner has beaten him 5 times during the current Masters winning streak without dropping a set in any of those matches. 5 meetings, 0 sets conceded, Medvedev, Shelton, de Minaur, Fritz, all credible players, all capable of producing a shocking result on any given day. None of them have shown the ability to consistently compete with Sinner over 5 sets on clay in his current form. Which brings McEnroe's answer back into sharp focus. He went through the entire draw in his head on that TNT Zoom call. He ran the names. He thought about who poses a genuine threat to Sinner across 5 sets on clay over 2 weeks. And he landed on a 40-year-old memory. The Paris Heat that melted his own 42-match winning streak in the 1984 final. The afternoon Lendl dismantled him in conditions that made the court feel like a furnace. He knows from direct, painful personal experience that the only thing that has ever stopped a player carrying this kind of momentum into a Grand Slam is something outside the player's control. An injury, a heat emergency. A moment where the body simply refuses to cooperate with what the mind is demanding. Sinner had a cramping episode during his 3rd-round match at the Australian Open in January. He dealt with illness during the Rome tournament just weeks ago. The body has shown occasional vulnerability even when the results have not. Paris is forecasting temperatures hitting or exceeding 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the opening days of the tournament. The red clay absorbs and radiates heat differently from hard courts. The balls sit heavier in humid air. Rallies run longer. The physical cost per point is higher than at any other Grand Slam. That is McEnroe's entire argument. Not a player, a physiological equation. And here is the honest counterpoint to that. Sinner's fitness and recovery protocols are among the most sophisticated on the ATP Tour. His coaching team under Darren Cahill, who McEnroe himself called one of the greatest coaches in the history of any sport, has built him into the most physically durable elite player in the game right now. He has overcome cramping, illness, and hostile conditions repeatedly across the current streak without losing a match. The body has wobbled, the scoreboard has not. The career Grand Slam is 21 points away if everything goes to schedule. Just winning the final from a clean 6-0, 6-0, 6-0 scoreline, which will not happen but hypothetically, is still 21 points. In reality, it is 7 full matches, 14 sets minimum, somewhere between 40 and 60 hours of competition across 13 days. This is the part nobody talks about when they discuss Sinner's dominance. Winning 6 consecutive Masters events across 3 months is extraordinary. Sustaining that same level across a fortnight-long Grand Slam against opponents who have specifically prepared for your game on a surface that punishes any physical or mental lapse while carrying the weight of a career Grand Slam that slipped away 3 match points ago, that is a completely different challenge. Sinner said it himself in Rome 2 weeks ago. My main goal is and remains Paris. What we've done here and the rest of the year is incredible. I realize that, but mentally I know that now I've got to do all the right things. That sentence is worth reading twice. He didn't say he was confident. He didn't say it was done. He said he had to do all the right things. That is the language of a player who understands exactly what is waiting for him. The weight of expectation, the memory of 3 match points, the knowledge that the only title left in his career, Grand Slam, has already beaten him once at the final moment. The record books don't care about any of that. They care about results. And the result of 6 consecutive Masters, 1,000 titles, 34 straight wins at that level, a career Golden Masters completed at 24 years old, and a 17-0 clay record across a full season is this. Nobody in the history of this sport has walked into the French Open carrying what Jannik Sinner is carrying right now. Not Borg in his prime, not Federer at his peak, not Nadal in his own kingdom on clay, not Djokovic in 2011 when he went 41 matches unbeaten before anyone could stop him. This is genuinely new territory. McEnroe knew it. That's why he named the weather. History doesn't announce itself. It just shows up at Roland Garros on a Sunday afternoon in May, takes its position at the top of the draw, and starts winning matches. If you want to watch it happen in real time, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell, because this channel will be covering every round, every result, and every record that falls between now and the final on June 7th.